Hi everybody, I'm Levi with the Autistic Rub, and this is my office, or at least one of them. If you're watching this video, it's primarily for practitioners who may have a client who identifies as autistic, or maybe you're an autistic client looking to increase the quality of massage in your life. This video is for people who are adults, so if you're under 18, please watch this video with an adult. Mostly because you can't make a massage appointment as a minor, so please ask a parent to watch this video with you. They will have to make the appointment anyway. The focus of this video, though, is how massage relates to autistic adults. I don't claim to be a specialist of child autism, child psychology, autism psychology, or massage for children on the autism spectrum. This is primarily for my work as a massage therapist who identifies as on the spectrum, who has many clients who identify as being autistic. This video will be one of a few that's aimed at making you a better practitioner when it comes to this type of client. And it's an honor to be one of very few people talking about this field as it relates to adults. Which brings me to the Autistic Rub. Most information out there, whether it's research, support, or idea, tends to come to children. Remember, there are autistic people who are adults in the world, and they do things like get massage, along with every other activity you can possibly think of, including writing poetry, playing sports, and falling in love. Without further ado, let's go to my other office. Along with many other factors, autism is thought to be an issue of sensory input. Sensory input can be hyper, meaning a lot, or hypo, meaning less. Sensations in general, whether it's smell, taste, feeling of the skin, etc., can either be enhanced or diminished with an autistic client. So let's get started with some of the basics. How does temperature and texture affect your massage? How can you think of sound and sight and scent when it comes to creating a room that's a maximum experience for someone on the autistic spectrum who might have sensory issues? Here are some things that you can do to make your clients feel more comfortable in their environment during a massage. Specific techniques will come in a future video, and a little bit more about maybe how to do an intake with a client with autism, or anyone for that matter. Now remember, there are no hard, fast rules, and there's no right or wrong when it comes to working with a person with autism or any client. Keep things adaptable, be willing to change and learn, and also be willing to ask a lot of questions. There are no hard and fast rules for how anyone likes a massage or likes a massage room. However, autistic clients love to be listened to. Now, this is the essence of customer service. These questions can help you determine a little bit about what a person feels is comfortable. And autistic clients, like myself and others, can be just as adaptable, but also just as diverse. So the needs are not static. Autistic people are very adaptable when it comes down to it, and can be pretty specific about what their needs might be. With more options, an autistic person will typically love to assert what they would want a massage to look like, such as don't touch my feet, change the music, I love red light, but make sure there's no blue light in the room. Firstly, it's important with an autistic client, and again, probably every client, to stick with the terminology for themselves that they are using. So when a client says they are autistic, try not to look at them and say, you don't look autistic. That's a big mistake that lots of people make. You wouldn't want to differentiate with someone in your chair or on your table well, are you high functioning or low functioning? Or, oh, you appear to be high functioning. So all of this stays in the territory of asking questions rather than assigning prejudices, which brings me to the weighted blanket. Weighted blankets. I would say a large number of videos I've seen regarding massage seem to imply that you should put a weighted blanket on top of your client. I think this is a good item to have, and I have one. But again, this is either something you show the client that's in a pile or you discuss with them in advance. It can be nice to say, hey, I have a weighted blanket. Would you like to use it? Curiously, I would say about half of clients in my experience actually don't want a weighted blanket if they're autistic. Many autistic clients, and I can identify with this, actually prefer less weight on top of them when possible. This doesn't mean massage pressure. It means we don't necessarily want the extra weight of a weighted blanket. For myself, even a regular blanket sometimes is just unnecessary extra weight. Notice this crease here. This is from a heating pad, a sanitation cover, etc. that are underneath. And if I can smooth that out as much as possible, most people with sensory issues will appreciate that. I don't find that the texture above me is as bothersome as what's underneath me. And if I feel wrinkles in your sheets because they're oversized, or feel wrinkles in some of the materials under the sheets, that can be unpleasant and draw attention away from relaxation. But I like to smooth those sheets a little extra for an autistic client. I find that even a single piece of dust under someone could become noticeable. I call that the princess and the pea effect, if anyone knows that fairy tale. Laying on a mattress and feeling a pea underneath it, that princess sounds autistic. Ugh. Other thing about the weighted blanket, so it's heavy. It's heavy on them, it's heavy on you, so that's something I want to have prepared on and off. Again, most autistic clients don't want that on them in my experience. About half want it at some point in my massage career with them, meaning they will try it, like it, but not want it all of the time, or may want it removed halfway through the visit. I've also got kind of a soft fleece blanket. This is probably the best option for most, just because it is soft, but not overly textured. I once went to a spa that used this type of blanket. It's cute. It has a little lacy texture. The white, I think, like in the hotel sense, is meant to look very, very clean and bleached. But this texture can be a little bit much to the autistic hand or chest or whatever that it's laying on. Start to feel that texture and obsess about the height differences there. And then kind of your regular mass market blanket, something like this, you can see the texture. And on some level, I think if you can see the texture as a therapist who is not on the spectrum, you can sort of detect what your autistic client is going to feel. Some of these are blanket statements in regard to sensory overload or sensory ability. There are autistic people that are actually much less sensitive in some physical senses than others, so maybe textures not only don't bother them, they're not even used to really feeling them or processing them, so that's kind of interesting. The subject of music and massage is quite fascinating to me. Most clients don't specify whether or not they need a certain kind of music. Autistic clients probably won't either unless asked, but this is something I've learned to put on my intake and then also make sure I reiterate to people with sensory issues. There are a few clients I have who are on the spectrum who request some pretty counterintuitive music as far as massage therapy goes. Things like heavy metal or electronic music, which I think have something to do with finding a beat or finding that heavy volume relaxing. And then one very special customer, hey, look, I'm a Star Trek fan, so I get this, but I have one client that asks very specifically to be massaged to Star Trek music. Star Trek and that world are his obsession. Listen to requests like that and say, I hadn't really thought of it, that Star Trek music might make this person react positively in a massage and relax more, but he certainly does. It's from going to that world where he often escapes due to sensory issues, and providing that imagery, providing that familiarity is what allows him to relax. Okay, most clients aren't going to love the French horns and the trumpets and the big drums during a massage, but hey, be open to the possibility that your autistic client may have input or ideas on music that could make their experience better. Your room is probably already dimly lit, and you probably decorated in some reasonably muted colors. Avoid lights that are right in a person's face or above them. So I like to keep this lamp behind me lower than the table if you're going to use one. Now I have a red light behind the camera here. Red light is something that autistic clients often react better to than other colors. So if you're going to have a colored lamp, typically with autistic clients, I find that LED lighting in the blue-green spectrum is just not good. It is not what they want. Okay, very flashy, very bright. Now, temperature-wise, don't make your table too hot or too cold. It's best to leave it at a medium temperature. I think autistic people often don't react well to huge amounts of heat, especially if we're using one of those thick blankets on them as well. Be prepared for the possibility that a client with autism may actually not want more and heavy draping, but actually less. I'm an autistic person that actually doesn't love compression. Everything from hugs to a weighted blanket eventually become stimulating in and of themselves. That might be a plug for aqua massage, which I do not practice, but if you're at a spa or a hot springs, you may find massage therapists that actually work in the water. This is kind of cool because they'll massage you while floating. And for autistic people that prefer more of an anti-gravity than a gravity effect, this might be for you. Think of draping for like a lomi massage, which is pretty minimal if that's the style you're doing. You can go down to that if by request. I have a few autistic clients that rather than mess with sheets on top of them or under them, we work a little bit more in the Thai style. I will take clients on the floor. I do practice Thai yoga massage. Sometimes people do better on a mat on the floor, clothed, than they will on your table with sheets. Some other clients, I may just remove the top sheet and ask them to wear, I think what we would call yoga or gym clothing. So a client can wear shorts and a sports bra and be just fine. You should be able to do 99% of what you want to do with that person. But this gives people the right and ability to pick from their own wardrobe. An autistic client will know exactly what they want to wear to a massage. So they may have a few more questions than most, like, do you have a weighted blanket? Hey, how little clothing am I allowed to wear? These aren't leading questions, they're very much sensory issue questions, but giving a client control, saying, just come in clothed, you're gonna have to wear something, but wear what you would wear to like a yoga class. And that's what an autistic person really loves to hear. I know I do. Just to be given choices so that I can choose. I know what I want, but I do need to explain some of what I need. And when I see a pile of blankets, meaning 5 or 6 different choices, when I see 3 or 4 different kinds of pillows, this gives me a menu of things to look at. Maybe they want you to stop touching them halfway through and do aromatherapy. An autistic client who's obsessed with Star Trek really appreciates being greeted in Klingon. They come onto the table, I play Star Trek music, and then I tell them I'm doing Vulcan neuropressure on them. Really, all I'm doing is the Sen lines from Thai massage, but done like this. It's kind of funny to call it Vulcan neuropressure, like Paul would do on Trip. It's a warm room, it's soft. So in a lot of ways, we have advantage already as massage therapists when working with autistic clients. And now I'm behind the camera. Just another note about aromatherapy. Aromatherapy can be pretty exciting for an autistic client. There's a lot of research showing that different smells are quite important and overwhelming in cases to an autistic person. Again, this comes across from higher sensory capabilities. Other autistic clients may come to you and say, I love smells, just keep them natural. That's certainly me. Do not use something like peaches and cream lotion from the Body Shop. Other scents like sea breeze, which isn't really a smell at all, probably aren't going to be as good for your autistic clients. Don't douse the room in advance with many types of oil just because you've done research that autistic people do well on them. So I think I was recently reading that maybe cedar is grounding for the autistic brain. I think it is for most people, but what I wouldn't do is go based on that information, put cedar all over my client or all over the room. That's not going to be all people. I personally don't like it. Some may say use whatever you want. Some may say, look, I only like lavender and nothing else. Definitely don't like the smell of bad things, is what most of us will say. So what is the autistic rub? I put up two definitions earlier, and it's kind of interesting because if you didn't notice throughout the video, a lot of what I mention autistic people might love in a massage just comes down to the fact that everyone is different, and enhanced customer service, really for anyone, will help you with an autistic client. My experience as an autistic person is something that I think informs why I'm making this video. These are just my experiences with clients and my own, not meant to be medical advice of any kind. But yeah, not having assumptions about a person's personhood when they come out to you, as it were. This is kind of what I think the autistic rub is in life, is that you're looking for better customer service in general. You know, autistic people often feel that they don't fit in, or that there is a need from society for a fix or a cure, rather than really celebrating what I think is a set of superpowers. And in a massage, you can really watch a client or a person take off when they have options. The next video will talk a little bit more about how to do an intake, whether that's in writing or verbally in a sit down, and some notes on language when it comes to people in the autistic community. Language is a hot topic, I think, whenever anyone chooses to identify themselves as something. But the language around autism and autistic people, frankly, just isn't always that flattering. And like I said, it does focus on a cure, or a lot of information focuses on what it's like to be a child or the experience in school. There's just so much less information when it comes to what it's like to be an autistic adult doing something like getting a massage. So I hope to change some of that. Look, there's a lot going on in the world as it relates to autism. You know, our Secretary of Health and Human Services has made some recent missteps in his wording regarding this topic. And it's just, I think, a good time to focus on how autism can be really cool and positive. Parents out there, if you are a parent of an autistic child, they will become an autistic adult. And I hope this video provides hope that there are other adults out there willing to help, willing to ask good questions, and willing to adapt for people's various needs. In regard to the autistic rub, meaning sort of the annoyance or problem that persists around autism, I'm certainly willing to delve into any topic that we could possibly talk about, from gardening to photography to the state of the world, to the environment. There are just so many things that autistic people would love to talk more about, and we need to do that proudly. So if you like some of what I have to say, please support us on Patreon, any other formats that you might see videos on. Like and subscribe below. I'm also excited to read any comments or questions. If you have experiences to share, things that I didn't mention, questions about things that I talked about in this video, or maybe future topics related to massage or not that we could delve a little bit more into, watch out for that next video, again, that focuses on intake and how to be a great customer service representative to a client or patient with autism. Thanks, and have a good day, everybody.